wait.
It says we're live.
It lies. Always.
Well, it changed colors, so.
That doesn't mean much.
Yeah.
If you'd like to keep the heat on.
Yeah.
Or more batteries for my shirt, donate here.
Yeah.
If you like coffee.
There she
it's
is.
a Cedar. If you like coffee, these guys, good friends of ours. They send us free coffee, which makes them really good friends of ours. And we're going to be doing an anthology later involving these guys. So
stop shaking the card.
Okay. Squirrels, glow stick. Okay, we're done. And Cedar just walked in.
Good morning, afternoon, whatever the hell it is.
Yeah.
She just blinked at my shirt.
Yeah. That one's not quite as eye-searing as the last one.
Damn it.
Yes, it's bright. It's bright.
I can recede into the background.
Yes, you can.
It's camouflage. See, you blend.
And I'm gray. So
That's hunter orange. He can wear that hunting.
that's got a lot of pink in it.
It
Pink
does.
and
You can't see it on the.
and scarlet.
You can't see it on the screen. It's all
No,
one
no,
big.
no.
It's orange.
They're
Guys,
colors.
Well, aren't you just so special?
I'm an artist, trust me.
Okay, fine. And you're a woman. Men see 3 colors. Women see 400.
There's a fantastic XKCD thing on color. And yeah, that one's fun.
Yeah.
No Lord, my eyeballs. Sweet.
Yeah.
Score.
Eyeball violence.
If I sit back, I'll just flat disappear.
Hey, but camouflage, I blend.
Versions of blending.
I've seen the scimitar before.
Cool.
I'm assuming it's not new. It was just back there.
It's been there a while.
Yeah.
So, how is everybody? We're getting ready for Pecan. The Jonna and Courtney already left out with
They took my kid with them.
SUVs loaded with stuff.
Yeah, I wound up with stuff coming to my house because it wouldn't fit in their SUVs.
Oh,
So I am
There's extra stuff.
about maxed out.
damn.
I
and
loaded
then-
a lot of stuff this morning.
There were 2 small cases that came to go ride down with
Well,
me.
the stuff on the tabletop, we've got to go. It's got to go in our vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've still got to pick up someone as I head down there, and I don't know how much gear he's going to have, although I would suspect not much.
Yeah.
Cool.
And Kelly's already there.
Sweet.
Oh, good, Kelly. You can help the ladies with unpacking it.
Yeah, go find
Weapons.
Jonna and Courtney and be their rented mule because there was cussing when they left.
Yeah, that's why I sent Johan down with them, because originally he was going to ride with me. And I was like, you're going to need a kid to unload. Take the kid. Also, that means he's not driving.
So there was a
Young-
method to your madness.
Young, dumb muscle.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I love him, but he drives faster than I do. He likes to follow a whole lot closer than I think is safe.
Yeah.
He'll learn.
And he has an overestimated consideration of what his stopping power is.
Yeah.
Tom says, wait, you just give kids away? What the hell was this information 20 years ago?
I mean, if he wants another kid, I could tell him how to do this, but
this
that's
is
up to him.
for a debut
No
con.
comment.
This one's going to be good. I think last I checked, they added a Ask Kelly Anything, or Kelly's got a questions from the hat. So this is this is going to be good.
All right. Looking forward to finally meeting you, Greg.
You met him.
That's right. I have. Too many people.
Refreshing our acquaintance.
Yeah. Well, I've got my new eyeball is working for versions of working.
This is good.
Yeah.
No more funny flashes of color?
Occasionally, but now the 2 eyes are in a battle for
Well, yeah.
which one is the predominant eye,
Yeah.
which sometimes makes it interesting.
Huh. Now there's a question. When you get it all done at the end, I wonder if you'll shift dominant eyes.
That's a good question, and nobody knows the answer to that.
What?
I'm sure you'll find out the next time you go to shoot.
Yeah.
Well, something that they often forget to tell folks getting the
Yeah,
cataract
Greg,
surgery,
that's true.
cataract surgery is the lens they take off filters UV. The lens they put in does not.
Okay.
So
Sunglasses.
Jim is actually he's actually that's my shirt's probably a little brighter to him in that eye
Mhm.
because his eye isn't filtering out UV anymore.
Yeah, because if I close the left eye, I'm going, oh my God. I found something that I've been looking for about almost 8 months, a year. Anybody know what this is?
Is that a little tiny ramrod?
No.
We get a little closer to the.
That is a static wick off a P3.
Ah,
It was
Okay.
brand new when it went on the airplane.
it's definitely used now.
Note the scorching, the carbon scorching
Yeah.
on the copper part.
Supposedly ag, but yeah, Ben, I'm trying to fade into the background today. But there is a story behind this little thing. We were
It's paint. No worries.
okay. Yeah, I'll lean back, fade into the background even more.
I'll lean back and not fade in the background.
But we were launched out of Bermuda on a SAR. Yeah. This was back in the 80s. After the, eyes on Kelly.
Oh, Ben's there, outstanding.
Yep. After the pilot training flight, went a little bit north and looked at the weather and went, no, we're not flying into that shit, because they had 4 people on the airplane. So we got launched, and there was a hurricane up there, which of course was right where the EPIRB pointed to.
Of course.
So, we all strapped in, made sure everything was strapped down. And we penetrated the front or actually the backside of the eye wall. And things went rodeo. We took 3 lightning strikes after the fact, knew that were 3 on the nose. They saw 1 big flash. We took 2 more that hit the top of the airplane. And most of the circuit breakers in the airplane decided that they were going to quit working, including my navigation stuff, the radios, the radar, and about the only thing that didn't go out was what we call non-essential, which is what kept the airplane running. Part of that might have been the fact that the flight engineer slammed his hand up on the panel to stick them all back in. And we were in moderate turbulence. So we came back out of it. Everybody's kind of going, damn. And well, kind of looked at each other and went, okay, what's working and what's not now? So we managed to get most of the systems restarted. Of course, the navigation system would not restart because it's a 20-minute alignment on the ground. So the TACO is looking at me going, well, can you DR us? And I'm thinking to myself, well, DR, yeah, I can DR, but the problem is I've got a chart and I have sharp implements called dividers that I have to try to get on a chart in turbulence. Sir Brass, we burned out 19 circuit breakers.
Ooh, that is a lot at
Yeah.
once.
Steam gauges got rattled a little bit. Yeah.
Holy sheet, no problem.
Yeah. So we've got the 2 radio UHFs and a VHF backup. phoned home and said, "Hey, we took a lightning strike." And maintenance came back and said, "You're it. If you don't go, nobody goes." It's like, okay, fine. So we turned around, went back in, and more turbulence. We kind of had a DME tack-in back to Bermuda for about 40, 45 miles. And then there was so much static electricity and lightning that we lost that.
Like
And
you
we
did-
lost communication with the operations center. So I'm trying everything I can think of to do communications and fired up my HFs. And only HF2 came up. HF1, yeah, nothing. Yeah. You don't got to come out, but you got to go in. Yep. And so I started fiddling around with some of the frequencies that I knew as we continued to bounce our way out because the pilot still had a point. And I got Jacksonville, Florida, as clear as a bell, as clear as I'm sitting here talking to y'all. No static, no nothing. So we ended up, by my guesstimate, between 80 and 90 miles out of Bermuda. And sure enough, there is a little orange square life raft in 40-foot seas.
I bet the inside of it wasn't orange.
Ooh.
Actually, it was.
I figured it'd be ravioli colored.
Yeah. And we see a hand come out. I didn't see it because I was too damn busy. But one of the observers saw a hand come out, wave, and then give a 3. So the assumption was there were 3 people on the raft.
Okay.
So talking to Jacksonville, I get a phone patch back to Bermuda from Jacksonville. So it's, Jacksonville, this is such and such, such and such. Bermuda, how copy? Over. Back and forth with the overs. And yeah, radio propagation is a black art. We get a note that the Coast Guard has launched out of Elizabeth City, New Jersey. And they're coming out with a C-130. So we loitered, which is the term, and forward radar wasn't working. Aft radar actually was working. So we're out there making circles in the sky. And the radar operator says, "Hey, I got what looks like a ship about 10 miles away." So we're sitting there trying to figure out, how are we going to find this raft again if we go look at the ship? So about 20, 30 minutes later, we get the coasties inbound. So we do what's called air-to-air tack-in 2992 and get a range off of them. They're about 80 miles out. So we did an altitude set. We were down at 500 feet because that was semi-smooth. And they came down and got in trail of us, and we threw out a smoke. They said, "We got the raft." So we went over to the ship. Turned out it was a little Navy ship that had gotten overrun by the hurricane because they couldn't move fast enough. So we called them up and said, "Hey, we got 3 guys in a life raft over here about 10 miles from you." And the captain came back and said, "That's nice. If they come floating by, we'll try to grab them." He said, "I'm making a knot and a half into the seas to keep from rolling this fucking boat over."
Oh,
Like, oh,
miserable.
okay, you're no help.
Not
He's
their
just
fault.
trying to stay alive.
Yeah. So phone patch. Bermuda comes up and says,
She did that just doodling around.
yeah.
I'm testing new paints.
So we managed to get back to Bermuda, and they called and said, "How far out is the raft?" And I said, "Well, between 90 and 92 miles." And they said, "Well, the helo is willing to launch." And it was a Huey. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, a Huey does not have a 100-mile range.
I was wondering about that. I didn't think they were that long ranged.
So went back, asked the question. They said, no, they have an extra tank put in.
Oh,
Okay. So said, how do you want to do this? Well, we got directed to come back in.
however they want to do it.
So we went back, found a C-130. I took a guess. We were about 93, 94 miles out. So we flew back down to Bermuda, and the helo was waiting just outside the wall of terror.
Oh my.
And yeah, Sir Brass, they actually had a extra tank in the bird. So we're talking to the pilot and coordinating, and he goes, "Understand you guys lost DME, you lost everything." I said, "Yeah, pretty much." He said, "Well, if y'all will stay at 500 and lead me out," and we're all going, "Okay, we can do 180 knots. They can do 80 knots."
There's a lot of confidence in that voice.
So we end up S-turning so he can keep us in sight.
Oh,
I don't know how the hell he was seeing because it was raining like that. So we get back out there, and we flipped over to the Coastie 2992, got a range off of them, and they said, yeah, we're getting a north drift, at least according to our navigation. And my first thought was, oh crap. So we got out there, helo gets out there, and I called up the Coasties and I said, what are you showing for a lat long? So he gave me the lat long, and I plotted it, and it was 104 miles. The Huey had a 100-mile range.
right.
Oof.
And
Even with the extra tank on?
even with the extra tank. And he said, I'm here, might as well try it. We had swapped with the Coastie. They went home because there was nothing they could
Like
do.
you
No, right.
And that Coast Guard, that helo crew, Navy helo crew, picked up 3 guys in less than 5 minutes. He was hovering about 10 feet over the wave tops.
Wow.
And why do we have a notary seal in the blanket for it?
It's not a notary seal.
It's something else. And I'm boring Ian, so he's playing.
What? I'm not bored. I'm just squirrels.
I have toys, so I handed them to you.
Oh.
So they get these 3 guys on board, and he's going, all right, point me to back to Bermuda. So
Keep talking.
we start weaving our way back, and he's following us, and they break out.
Nice.
And he goes, okay, we got it now. And they landed, taxied in, and pretty much went thud on the ramp when they ran out of gas.
Yeah.
The tape of Fortunate Son ran out and they lost all airspeed. Clang.
And then they walked out and they went clang, clang, clang.
Yes.
Clank, 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 clank.
So, we land and come taxiing in, and everybody's pointing and looking at the airplane. We're going, what the heck? Well, we got into our parking spot, dropped the ladder, and about half the maintenance department comes running out to look at the airplane.
But that's never good.
No.
No. These were brand new when they were put on the airplane that morning. We took 5 lightning strikes on the airplane. 3 on the nose, 2 on the overhead. 19 circuit breakers melted.
Oof.
The HF1 long wire antenna disappeared,
Vaporized.
vaporized, and we blew the 4-foot long cone off the back of the mad boat. And the forward radome was collapsed down on the radar, which is why the forward radar didn't work. Yeah, pretty much, Pfeiffer. Yeah, it was melted. They found 3 distinct holes in the forward radome, and the P3 actually has static wicks in that forward radome. They were gone. They were melted.
Fancy that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, it does, Sir Brass. So, we kind of went off in our corner and shook for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day we got to meet the 3 guys that we saved. The only rescue I ever met the people I saved.
Oh, that's cool.
And it turned out one of them was an ex-RA Royal Navy helicopter crewman. One of them was an ex-Royal Marine. And the other one was ex-SAS.
Brits. And you better be out there.
Now, they were delivering a brand new Naughter Swan, 65-foot Naughter Swan yacht,
Oh my.
and got caught by the weather. They could not get out of the way of it.
Yeah.
Glub, 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 glub. Thud.
Yeah.
But they took pictures of their attempted repair of the mainmast.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the guys, I think it was the SAS guy told me, he said, I know we're fucked, but by God, yeah, we're going to show we tried to save the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lloyds of London will want to know if you actually tried something.
Right.
Yes, Cameron, it was insured. So, upshot of it was we got our ass chewed for flying an unsafe airplane. And the pilot of the helicopter got a Distinguished Flying Cross, and all the rest of the helicopter crew got medals for that. And we got our ass chewed.
Which they probably traded for booze.
Yes, probably. But we got souvenirs.
Yeah, that is cool.
That was our souvenir because they had to replace these damn things, among other things on the airplane.
He got here and set his satchel on the table and took out his laptop. I'm wandering around being me. I thought, ooh, what's that on the floor? I picked this up. And Jim goes, I've been looking at that for almost a year. So don't know what to tell you.
Why does this DFC have teeth marks?
Well,
The other thing that got me was the fact that the helo crewman said, when I heard you guys fly over, I knew we were saved. And I went, oh.
I've seen the seats in the Huey.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that when they got done, there were maintenance orders for 3 new seats because the center of them had a strange spike going up.
Well, they might have had to replace a couple of the P3 too.
Now I'm thinking the guys that they rescued all may have had, not necessarily had, but may have had actual rescue training.
That is why they were able to pick them up so quickly.
I wondered about that.
Because I talked to the commander and he said, I wasn't putting a swimmer in the water.
No.
I'll put a drowner in there, but not a swimmer.
Well, I mean, yeah. It's like the little Navy ship. The
Yeah.
first rule of search and rescue is don't put yourself in
Yeah.
danger.
Shit,
So-
I keep forgetting that one.
Yeah.
It's really hard to remember when you're in there.
But what happened was, and of course I didn't see it, the observers saw it, and the helo crew saw it. As soon as they heard the Huey, one guy rolled out of the raft
Mm-hmm.
in 40-foot seas.
Surprised they hear it over the sound of the storm.
your hearing is pretty attuned when
Yeah.
it's a Huey. You can hear a Huey coming for a
That's
long
good. That's a
way.
good
And it
point.
breaks the pattern of the storm.
That's a good point.
So-
What I do is jack up the aircraft and shove a new one under it.
Yeah. So the first guy rolled out. They had apparently already unspooled part of the cable,
Mm.
and it basically threw the horse collar at him,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it hit the water. He grabbed it, went in it, and they only had to pull him up about 10 feet.
Mm-hmm. Because they were real low.
Yeah. And the second guy rolled out.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as he lifted out of the water.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he wasn't so much rolled out as they opened the hatch and the storm threw him out.
And the third guy knifed the raft as soon as
Because training.
as soon as the second guy lifted out, knifed the
Training.
raft, and he rolled out.
Yeah.
But I mean, 5 minutes to save three guys. That is
Yeah.
friggin' amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it probably wouldn't have been possible if they weren't.
If they were not
trained.
highly trained.
Yeah.
And they would have flat run out of gas on the way back home.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about the guys they were rescuing, not as much as being a help to the guys that were rescuing them. If they hadn't been able to be that helpful.
There was no muss, no fuss, no screwing around. They
Yeah.
knew what to do and they got it done.
Do we want to explain what you were playing with?
What?
The embosser.
Oh, Cedar got a book plate embosser. And I had to figure out how it worked.
It's
It says from the library of Cedar Sanderson.
right, and the dragon sitting on books is actually custom art that I created and was able to upload.
Outstanding.
Yeah, it was less expensive than I thought it was going to be. I wanted something to mark my books as I organized my library.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take it with me, and if I sign books and people want a stamp, I
Yeah.
now have a little embosser.
There
thing
you go.
To emboss books with.
Yeah, Jerry, you can actually hear a Huey over the water. Trust me. The water reflects sound.
See, I never had to worry about that because I didn't go in the Navy.
Yeah.
There's a reason.
I was going to say the Marines, Navy and the
Nope.
Marines both. Water, lots of water.
1,500 miles to land. All right.
Now you're always within 5 miles of land.
Yeah, it's straight down.
Maybe. I just didn't want to walk to work.
I don't mind walking to work. It's better than swimming to work or swimming home after work.
Sharing your commute with sharks.
Yeah.
Oh, Sir Brass, if you do it right, if you have to go anywhere, if you pick the right MOS, they fly you.
Yeah, it differs, right? The Air Force gets extra pillows.
I don't want to hear about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it.
Oh, Padre, you would have loved the discussion I had down at Rob Hampson's house a couple of weeks ago at the Nauticon.
Oh God.
A friend of his, one of his neighbors, is a retired Army W-3 who is teaching the Air Force how to fly helicopters.
Surprised they could find him.
Well, apparently every instructor for the Air Force basic helicopter program is a retired W-3 Army guy.
I'm surprised they could find him.
Well, apparently it was enough bottles got weighed and came out of the woodwork.
We have coffee.
Yeah, there was coffee too.
That's it. Everybody else I know has got bad knees. I
Yeah.
got it in the hips. My knees are okay. My hips are screwed.
Oh, Padre, your dad got to see the best and the worst.
That's like
So,
stiff legging a parachute landing one or two times.
yeah. The W-5s were better disappearing.
No kidding.
So Dan was at Rucker when and an instructor when Calvados was there. They were both instructors. And he told the story about, and I just cracked up at this. They were coming back from inspection, And Calvados had taken his Medal of Honor off, put it in his pocket.
Like you do.
And they're walking back to wherever the instructors were. And apparently this female second lieutenant walked by and did not get a salute. And she decided to go off on them and dressed down both of them. And Dan said, Calvados just stood there and took it. And when she got through, she looked at him and says, Warren, do you have anything to say? He says, no, ma'am, but you can go home and tell your mother and daddy you met a real hero today. And turned around and walked off. Ouch. So apparently, she went stomping into the colonel's office.
Doom, doom, doom on you.
About these two W3s. And the colonel asked what their last names were.
1 dog turd, 2 dog turds, 3 dog turds.
Yeah. And apparently she said, well, one of them was named Calvados.
4 dog turds.
And apparently the colonel had a rather interesting reaction to the extent that he told the second lieutenant, go do your history. I want to report tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock on Warrant Officer 3 Calvados.
Fort Wainwright, Alaska welcomes the brand new second lieutenant in charge of dog turd counting detail.
Yeah.
And legend has it, she's still there.
Yeah. So apparently, and Dan said he was with him the next morning when they walked into the colonel's office because the colonel personally apologized to him. And Calvados said, yeah, hell no biggie.
Warrant officer.
But apparently this butter bar came back in and was very, had a very different attitude, shall we say.
Not only that, but it's a warrant officer. Please don't lose my pay stubs. Please don't lose my pay stubs. Please don't lose my pay stubs.
And apparently she had the ovaries to actually go up to Calvados and apologize at the
Oh,
club.
Oh, that's cool.
I never had a butter bar that knew whether or not they're supposed to salute a higher ranking
Yeah.
warrant officer.
And,
Sergeant, do I salute him? Shut up.
and Dan
Sir,
said that
sir.
the Calvados' response to her was, no biggie. You want a beer?
No.
But Mr. Carter, I'm not sure whether she saluted him or not. Probably did. Yeah, salute everything and don't worry about it.
It's, you know, if you're you know, I'm an 01, do I salute a warrant 3 or do I take a salute? Sir, don't worry about it.
Yeah. But
This is one of those things you let slide.
yeah, if you look up Calvados' history, he was actually a Lieutenant Colonel B-29 pilot in World War II. They riffed him, so he got out, went to reserves, and became an airline pilot. And came back in the Army at age 41 as a warrant to fly helicopters. And apparently saved his son one week, and the next week his son saved him because his son was also a helicopter pilot.
Oh, that is fun.
Yeah. Which, by the way, is against the rules because you're not supposed to have 2 generations of the same family in combat at the same time in the same place.
I knew the
Tom,
whole thing
dead
about
on.
members of the family because of what was it, 6 boys?
Yeah, the Sullivans.
Seven
the
Sullivans.
Sullivans.
I had somebody at ROTC. Oh God, had just gotten his butter bar after having the dummy dot for 2 years.
Yeah.
And he quoted me the regulation because warrant officers are lower ranking than officers.
Yeah.
All warrant officers are up to W5 if you can find one are supposed to salute O1s. And I said, sir, I'm going to introduce you to the concept that while it may be a rule, most people don't follow it.
Yeah.
Well, Sergeant, why not? I said, because those are the guys in charge of your pay slips.
Yeah.
They want to be left alone. He was the same one that stumbled out. Yes, Butterbars do stumble at 04:30 in the morning out to first formation and saw four guys in the back with out of reg mustaches, obscene coffee mugs, and their left hands in their pockets, and decided to come unwound. And he had the next year he didn't have a single pay stub pay come out right, and
Yeah.
he kept getting these personnel transfers. His 30-day TDY to Fort Drum turned into a 15-day PCS.
Yeah, Jay, I had a butter bar myself.
Well, Jay, you were a Mustang too.
Yeah. What was even funnier was when they sent me back to the same squadron I had just left.
For those Jim Totten, for those of you who don't know, made a master sergeant and sergeant major, Jay. And then the Army got stupid and said he'd go to OCS. Yeah, master sergeant. And then said, what the hell, I went to OCS. I love my brother. Jay's my brother from another mother, but boy ain't wired to spec.
Yeah, Greg.
And on that note, y'all need to buy his book. Jay sold 10.
Yes. All right.
I told him that for most brand new authors' first release, they don't get 10 in the first year.
Yeah.
He's got 10 in the first week. Well done, Jay.
Excellent.
Yeah, Greg, I didn't wear mine I didn't wear anything when I was going through OCS. I didn't wear any of my ribbons, none of my
Well, that's good because the way you first said that
Yeah.
made me look up and go, what the heck?
none of my wings, none of that shit.
For those of you that not Jay or Tom Rognamy, PCS is permanent change of station. And when you PCS, you move everything, in this case, to Fort Drum for 15 days.
Yeah.
And then you move it all back.
No ag. We'll have to. All right, hang on. Let me go look it up. Be right back, folks.
What are we looking up?
Jay's new book.
Jay's a brand new author. I'm pretty sure that he's got the URL memorized. Ask Jay. Jim Totten. I've known him as Jay for 50 something years.
I think his author name on Amazon is James Totten.
Is it James?
I think so.
I've known him as Jay for 50 something years. Whenever we'd come back to the States for that 1 month out of the year, it's called Breaching Ain't Easy.
Yep.
Yes.
Mick and Big Bears.
And it only has one review or rating.
Bastards.
I'm not looking closely enough.
Yeah, bastards.
So obviously, if you all have read it, please go give him something. Because that one's just a rating. There's not even a full review there.
It's a short story, 17 pages. Anyway, we'd come back to the States for that 1 month a year. They made my dad come back stateside, and Jay was one of the core group of kids my age, my peer group, that was always there when we came back. Also dark spots where I had to cut them off. Yes.
So I show back up in the squadron. I get picked up at the airport by the XO because the squadron was on deployment, and he drives me back over to the squadron spaces, and he says, "You're causing me problems already." And I went, "The fuck, XO? I just got here." He said, "Yeah, but we're trying to figure out what job to give you."
Yeah.
And I went, "Oh, you mean I'm not going to get the VD control?" "No, you're not getting legal either. You're not getting a search. We're going to throw your ass in tactics. That's where you belong anyway." Wait a minute.
Both Jay and I had Coke bottle lens glasses. Good guy. Jay's one of my best friends ever. He's a good guy, and I really like to see him succeed as a writer because he's got the chops.
Yep.
And I get to bust it. I get to bust his chops because he got stupid and went the officer route. So I'm allowed to bust his chops. Plus, we have fed each other and staggered home, leaned on each other's shoulders
Put each other's glasses on and see tomorrow. Yeah.
Blackout drunk a couple of times.
Oh, yes. Not that any of us have ever done that.
No.
I
No.
have not. I've never been blackout drunk.
I don't
Well,
remember.
You were never in the military,
I don't
so
remember.
you never had a reason to.
Commode hugging, snot slaying drunk at 16.
Ooh.
Oh!
That sounds disgusting. Honestly, not attractive at all. Not something I want to do to myself.
Which one of us has the brain cell tonight? Shit, I thought you had it. Yeah.
Yeah, Jay and I do share one brain cell, and occasionally I get it.
Yeah, Greg, soju. No, just no. Two things I will never touch again: soju and tequila.
We're the best in shape alcoholics in Texas. He's not kidding. Holy gods, he's not kidding. Oh, Jägermeister. You remember that Jägermeister drunk, Jay? Oh, I can't touch Jägermeister. To this day, I can't touch Jägermeister. I can't even look at it.
So we've been BSing, sir. So what have you got, Cedar?
I was just sitting here and looking at the numbers in the KKR buyout of
Oh God.
Simon and Schuster.
Yeah.
So they've leveraged Simon and Schuster for $1 billion at interest rates above 9%.
Oh,
Yeah.
they're going to lose money big time.
For those of you who don't know, this investment firm,
Travel
Yarmy
safe, sir,
Hardy's, Yarmy Hardy's just bought Simon & Schuster.
Right.
And the last company this outfit bought, I forget what it was, but they ran it in the ground.
Well,
Very profitably, but they ran it in the ground.
Might have been Toys R Us because
Yeah, it was Toys R Us. That's exactly what it was.
The title of this thing.
They're the ones
But-
that bought Toys R Us and then
Yeah.
rode that puppy into the ground. Made a lot of money off of it.
Yep.
Yeah, well, that'll kill Simon and Schuster.
Well, this article says that the $100 million just on interest, is about 40% of what their operating income it was in 2022. So yeah, when you give kids advice on how much debt to take on or not take on, as in like say, I don't know, a mortgage shouldn't be more than 25% of your take home pay. That violates so many things.
Yeah, and one more Jay Totten story. For those of you, the great Jägermeister, Jay was the first one to point this out, and he did it way before the internet. He did it in the 80s. The Jägermeister symbol, you've got a deer head and a Christian cross in a circle. And the only thing I remember from that night was Jay leaning on my shoulder, holding a bottle of Jägermeister in front of me and pointing. It says, "Oh, dear God." And I was drunk enough that made sense.
Well, we were talking about something the other day with, there's a thin line between not enough alcohol and too much. Yes.
Oh.
And
Kelly-
John Van Strive raised the issue talking about Tektronix, which was once a great company. And they got new management who decided to take the money and run.
Yeah.
And basically destroyed what was one of the top electronics companies in the world in less than 2 years.
Well, this KKR, this investment company, Yarmy Hardy's, has made for them, they make very sound financial decisions. They take a company and they squeeze every last dollar out of it.
Yep.
And then they leave the twitching corpse and move on to the next.
Yeah, the article speculates because with a lot of these companies, one of the things that they've done is they take it over and then they sell off their real estate to other things. Simon & Schuster doesn't have any real estate, and they don't have that much staff comparatively.
Yeah,
and
because it's a publishing company.
Right, and KKR has said they're not planning on layoffs, so everybody's
Bullshit.
like, so what are they planning on doing with to get money out of them, which is basically they're probably going to be, what does it say? Intense pressure to give the publisher a bigger slice of the pie when it comes to authors' intellectual property. And another speculation is to use authors' original work to train AI models that can then generate new monetizable content. And I quote, if you train an AI model on Danielle Steele's nearly 200 books and write a new one, somebody has to own the rights.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it'll be
Yeah.
KKR.
And because Simon & Schuster owns those rights, this is why going trad right now as an author makes no sense.
Well, no,
Yeah, and Tiffany, you're right. If they go under, the first thing they're going to do is sell the authors.
Right.
they'll sell authors to dry. I mean,
Yeah.
all KKR does is make money.
Yep.
Period.
Yep.
Yeah,
If they've got to suck
care
that
about-
corpse dry, they will.
Right. And that's
And
their
if
plan.
by selling authors will make them money, they'll do that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, and some of the contracts that these authors have don't just give up the work that is currently being
Yeah,
published.
it's all their rights.
It's
Yeah.
all their
Right of
rights
first
in
refusal
perpetuity,
is
the
Yeah.
right of
bad.
first refusal.
Yep.
So they basically, if they don't want to continue to work with these people and give up all their rights, they can't ever
They can't write.
write again.
Yeah.
So
Well,
all of this is good reasons to just steer clear of traditional publishing.
Yeah.
And the small presses, a lot of them aren't any better. I mean, we've had,
We've been watching contracts.
right.
Yeah.
And Anna Kassenset has been publishing open calls on the Team and More Facebook.
Mhm.
And I have been encouraging her to do more precautionary notes.
Yeah.
And possibly pick a day of the week to just do warning postings, because there are some really bad terms. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh my God, are you serious terms?
Well, and
$10 for a story, that's it? That's all you're going to get paid?
Yeah.
and people are so desperate to be a published author.
Yeah.
That either all they do is grab it, and much like a terms of service, they just sign the bottom.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
don't actually read it.
Yeah.
Or they're so desperate to get paid, they read it and think, okay, this
Yeah.
is acceptable
Yeah.
to get me traditionally published.
Yeah.
Yay.
Padre, once they sign those documents, there's no renegotiation. It's been tried.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing too, is that with a lot of publishers, Bain.
All right, Brennan, we'll make sure we take care of her this weekend.
John and
Yeah.
Courtney should already be there, by the way.
Emma doesn't get in until midnight. She has my phone number. If
Oh,
there's
girl.
not a shuttle, she's
Yeah.
going to call me, and either myself or whoever happens to be awake at that point will go get her. So
Padre.
we will be very good taking care of her.
Danielle Steele makes pennies a word.
So yeah, because this is what I was about to get into, which is basically, if you're going to go with a traditional publisher, leaving Bain aside, you have to have an agent. Your agent takes, what is it, 15% off the top?
15 to 20.
15 to 20 off the top. And the publisher takes their chunk. So
Which is normally 50%.
right. So what the author is actually getting is they get an advance, and for a newbie author, the advance might be $1,000 these days, maybe. And that is an advance on royalties, which may or may not pay out depending on so many factors.
Yeah.
And that's after you get everything else taken out with the book. I mean, I think Dave Freer one time said that he gets something like 60 cents on the sale of a hardcover, which at the time was like $26.
I've seen
Yeah.
a contract, or what was purported to me to be a contract, from one of the major publishing houses that granted the author 7%
Mhm.
after
After expenses.
after expenses that were
Yeah.
never stated.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing too is that IP, that intellectual property, isn't just a book. The rights
world.
grab. No, and it's not the world either. The rights grab in a lot of contracts these days is for audio, ebook, print, video games,
Everything.
everything,
Mhm.
and graphic novels. It is for literally everything they can think of.
This
and they're
one
even including
mentioned
clauses
this
like
one mentioned, and I
technology
honestly,
yet to be invented.
this
Yeah.
was, if I remember right, this is a
So-
23-page contract,
Mhm. Yeah.
and
That is correct, Jesse.
mentioned-
7% of the net.
Yeah.
it mentioned Netflix and Amazon by
Mhm.
name.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well,
So-
that's where Lucas
Hmm.
made a fortune because he did not give up the rights to the toys.
Right.
Right.
He has made more money off the Star Wars toys
Hmm.
than he ever made off all three movies that he made.
Right. Right. But this is why when you're looking at a contract, you have to read it carefully and you have to make sure you understand all of it.
Yeah.
Kristen Catherine Rush, who I sometimes have quibbles with, but she has some excellent blog articles on contracts that can give you ideas of what to look for in them and what to shy clear of. But it's this is partly why I went indie to begin with and why I plan to stay mostly indie, and I don't ever plan to go for one of the big five big traditional publishers. Um, there's some small presses that I'd be willing to work with, but
Yeah.
by and large, I want the control.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, I'm the same way. S.M. Sterling, Stephen Michael Sterling,
hmm
Peshawar Lancers.
That's the classic.
That's the classic.
He wrote Peshawar Lancers for Tor Books, and Peshawar Lancers is one of that's the one he gets asked all the time. Where's the sequel? Where's the sequel? Where's the sequel?
hmm
And he posted on Facebook back when I was still following him that Tor owns everything about that world. They own Peshawar Lancers and the world he created, and they don't think there's a market, so he's not allowed to write it.
Rick, they do. And they use a lot of the same IP lawyers.
Now I don't know if that 7% of net is normal, but it was in the contract I was shown on the quiet here, because there's a lot of trad pub. If you divulge their contracts, you're toast.
Yeah.
So you got authors that will not show contracts because they don't get blackballed,
Right.
which is a thing in the publishing world.
Absolutely, it is.
So he showed me this. It's like, Jesus Christ, seriously?
Well,
And
that's typical of Hollywood and trad pub
Yeah.
both.
That was
Well,
one of the
that's why-
drivers. That was one of the impetus behind Raconteur, is I don't ever want to screw over authors like Trad Pub has been pounding authors from the get-go.
I mean, I was sitting on a panel 10 years ago at LibertyCon and literally heard a room gasp in horror when the publisher said that she modeled their publishing contract after her husband's RCA music contracts.
Yeah.
And then got threatened with
I
a
remember
lawsuit
that.
because I blogged about it.
So the RCA, that meant that the author had to buy their lube separately.
Yep, pretty much. Yeah, so there's so much. It's like my kid today came bouncing in to tell me about some kerfluffle in the video game industry. And I'm not entirely sure I followed all of what he was telling me, but when he told me that it was going to cost Microsoft like $5 million a day, I'm like, well, this isn't going to last. Well, no, it's not that. I'm like, Microsoft isn't going to just lay there and pay this out to this game engine thing that's charging a delivery fee for downloading games. If I followed what he was telling me, I'm like, they are the big boys in the industry. They're going to go out and build their own, so they don't have to.
Yeah.
And that's what indies are doing, is we don't have to, so we can go build our own and not have to pay like that.
Honestly, these days, and I realize I'm speaking to the choir.
Rick, if they wrote under a pseudonym, yes, they own the author's name too.
Depends on the contract, but most contract, yeah. So I lost my glow stick.
Well, this is what we're trying to do with Raconteur Press.
Oh,
is
okay.
the
Yeah, that's where I was
transparency and
I realize I'm preaching to the choir,
Mhm.
but quite honestly, if you can go with one of the smaller indie presses, I would say us, and that'd be kind of Gild and Lily. But there are a ton of small independent presses out there. Honest to God, these days you're better off going with one of those guys.
but do your due diligence,
Yes.
and you
Yeah.
want to look carefully, because small presses can be just as bad and just as ridiculous in their contracts. I've seen some of them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing is that you don't want to go with a small press that's a one-man show,
No.
because if that poor publisher steps out of his house and gets hit by a bus,
Yeah.
your IP is going to be tied up in his probate. If he has a will, it might go quickly. If he doesn't, if he has debtors, your IP is suddenly
Eric
Yeah.
Flint.
Oh,
belongs to
for-
Capital One that he had his credit card bill
Up
with.
for grabs.
Eric
So-
Flint being the classic example.
Yeah.
Right. So
And he knew better.
Yeah.
He knew better.
right, and that's the thing. Is that-
Communist.
He knew
well,
better.
I don't even know if it was that. I think it was just immortal. He thought he was immortal
Mhm.
and didn't realize. I mean, as ill as he was, he didn't realize that
Yes,
he was
it is,
that
David.
sick. So
That's exactly what happened to Ring of Fire Press.
yes, and at least the authors there got their rights back.
Yes.
Because that's the thing.
That
Is if you
doesn't
go with
happen
a
very
small
often.
press that goes bankrupt for some reason, your IP now belongs to their creditors.
Yeah.
Who probably have no freaking clue what to do with it. And best case, will ignore it and you'll never be able to touch it again. That's best case,
And you will never see the money
right?
because they will take the money and run.
Because it's
Yep.
part of what's owed them.
There are a lot of books. I was thinking about this today because I was looking for an ebook version of an author that's been dead for a while, but not long enough for it to go into public domain. And there's no ebook because undoubtedly somebody somewhere still has that
Still
copyright, but
sitting
they
on the
have
IP.
Yeah.
no idea what they have or
Or what to
how
do
to
with it.
deal with it. Yeah.
Well, the classic example, music, ASCAP.
Yeah.
They still pay a fee anytime Happy Birthday is played on the radio or in a movie because somebody owns the rights to that
Mhm.
song.
Yeah. Yeah. And with public domain having been expanded as far as it has to keep the mouse happy,
House of Mouse, Rat World.
that has really introduced a lot of
They're a mouse!
complication.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and that's the other thing too, is the big brouhaha right now about AI and Amazon, with Amazon requiring you to reveal whether you used AI in your book, which they're not trying to say you can't. They just need to know that, and this is why they're covering their ass. So if someone comes up with a copyright thing, they can be like, well, it was the author. But the thing is that with the AI image generators, you can easily generate Disney property images, and Disney will come after
Yeah.
you.
Oh, yeah.
I promise you all that. because we had a funny in my Discord channel where someone was generating Darth Vader selling Mary Kay products.
Yeah.
And that'll get you sued twice, but it was hilarious.
Rat World is Walt Disney spinning his grave.
Yeah.
Misha Merlin. Carl says something about Misha Merlin. What about Misha Merlin?
I did not realize that they had actually broken that, Joel. Glad to hear it. Yeah. For years, it was easier to just pay the few cents than
And
fight.
a few cents add up. That's why they keep fighting it.
Yeah.
That's why they keep doing it, because those
Mhm.
few cents do add up.
Yep.
And when you do that across a lot of songs,
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
that's why who was one of the Jackson Five? Michael Jackson. His song list sold for what, $150 million?
Oh God.
Yeah.
Somebody finished bought his backlist
Yeah.
for holy God's amount of money.
Yeah, ASCAP gets the money, the artists don't.
Of
Yeah.
course.
But
It's
that's
whoever owns the rights to that song.
right. But this is what authors need to be aware of, is that your backlist might not bring in a lot of money, but
Yeah.
if you get enough backlist and if you continue to market and maintain your backlist, which means new covers periodically and making sure that you're doing some marketing even with older properties, and getting it out there in front of things like video game makers, because right now the video game industry is eating everybody else's lunch. Video games get more money put into them than all of the other entertainments combined, and that does include movies and TV.
I wish that whoever does Love, Death, and Robots, that little animated short stories from an anthology,
Mm-hmm.
if God damn it, here's the Malta series.
Yeah.
I got 4 seasons right here.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's exciting right now is looking at the development of AI imagery. The next step is going to be AI animation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And we will see independent filmmakers running with that, and that will be phenomenal.
If Netflix wants to do,
By the way, Dan, I really did enjoy your little story with the dragon there, the female young dragon that was only 100 years old.
if Netflix wants to do a 10-episode animated series based on short stories that they did for Love, Death, and Robots, we've got the Malta series. We've got Space Marines. Talk to me. Give me a call. Have your people call my people.
Actually, what it would be really fun to see is something like Space Cowboys or whatnot done as an anime. I think that a lot of the weirder, more science fiction and fantasy stories will do better animated than
Yeah.
they will live action.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
Raconteur Press stuff, quite honestly, needs to be animated. We
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't.
And on that note, folks, we're going to call it a day because some of us have to hit the road.
Yeah,
that would be me.
I will be hitting the. I beg to differ. So Jim and Cedar heading out tonight for Pecan. Reed and I will be there in the morning.
So remember, folks, don't sweat the petty stuff. Don't pet the sweaty stuff.
Y'all be safe.
Be
See
safe.
y'all later.
Have fun. And
See you Tuesday
we'll see you Tuesday.
if
Bye.
if we survive.
Yeah.